Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and Wally Hatchett's Comfort Food and Drinks at 6439 Summer Avenue.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We talk outdoors every Saturday morning here on AM 790. Shelby McCall, our show producer, and of course this is what we like to call bonus wall, BW.
No, it's not. It's the real Ron.
Well, this is the
Wall.
real one. No, that's right. I'm getting way ahead of myself. This is
Good
real
morning.
Wall. This is RW.
Good morning again, everybody.
This is RW himself. Yes.
Good morning again.
And we're trying to hook up with Bill Cooksey. We're having a lot of phone issues on this Saturday morning. A lot of folks are out duck hunting. I know a lot of folks in Tennessee and Mississippi, and we're getting deer hunting going on. There's fishing going on. And, Ron, I know that there's so many activities, but one of the favorite activities happens every year, and you know this, Ron. You've been there before, for the Arca-Butler Physically Challenged Deer Hunt. And we're trying to hook up with Rob Hoff, and we haven't got Rob on the line. He is the park ranger for this wonderful event. But we do have a man that has devoted a lot of his time and
equipment and everything else
to this event, and that's our good friend Frank Barton. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone else.
Yes, and from your perspective, and the event is it's a 2-weekend deal, folks. It is next weekend, the 2nd through the 4th, and it's the following weekend, the 9th through the 11th, down at the Dub Patton campground area at Arca-Butler, and this is his 32nd year for this wonderful event, and they've got 70 people signed up to participate. And Frank, from your perspective, what makes this such a great event?
The history behind it and what it does. 'Cause my first recollection of this particular event was the first article that I read that you wrote in the Commercial Appeal about what was going on down there at Arca-Butler, and I read it and I said, I thought, wow, what a neat deal that people that folks that normally would not get to participate in activities that we just take for granted.
Yeah.
And so I read about it, and I read about it for several years as you continued to write about it. But then I got hooked up with them after I started helping you on the radio show, and we talked down there one time, and I couldn't go down there at that particular time, so I just sent them some units, because they have when you have 70 typically they'll have about 35 people
each weekend. Each weekend,
each hunt.
Well,
it takes a while to get that many people out there that have various impediments for mobility. It takes them a while to get them out there, so I would I sent them some equipment to help out. And then as my schedule got where I was able to make the time to go down there and actually help out myself, now I just go down there with a rig. I can take about 4 or 5 people at a time.
Right. Yeah.
And we take them out early in the morning and drop them off. And as I tell, these folks hunt hard.
They really do. They really do.
A whole bunch of them will stay out all day long.
And it makes no difference what the weather is. Rain, cold, it makes no difference.
Yeah. And if Frank keeps saying units and equipment, he's talking about all-terrain vehicles to help get some of these guys and their guides into the woods, because this is the only time, if I'm not mistaken, Frank, that area is hunted. And
they'll have an archery hunt out there before this one. It was back 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
But this is the only firearm hunt.
Yes.
Primitive weapon
that they have.
That they have out there, and they use it for a management tool to manage the deer herd that's out there. But the whole thing is set up for people that have various physical
They're
challenges.
challenged. I mean,
some of them,
yeah.
Some of them are in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Some of them have walkers. Some of them can. There was a person not too long ago that was legally blind, and he was out there. Of course, he had someone with him.
Sure.
But as a guide and help out. But the whole thing is set up so that these people have the ability of participating in it's a normal activity for us.
Yeah, and
that's right.
It's a campfire situation. They spend the weekend there. It doesn't cost them a dime. It's free of charge, and the volunteers and the food. Ron, I mean
they feed them breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you,
that's all volunteers that are doing that stuff.
Yes,
and talk about volunteers. I'm going to go out. And for all of our listeners out there, this is a wonderful opportunity to volunteer to help.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I'm going to ask, especially some of our friends here of Outdoors with Larry Ray, if you can make time, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah, when
these deer hunters come in, and they're bringing deer. They are really bringing some deer.
Yeah.
They could sure use some help.
Yes.
And skinning the deer and processing the deer on site there.
And it's right there at the Dub Patton Campground.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that at Arca Butler.
I'm going to call out Peanut Kwan, too.
Call him out because we need Rob I'm sorry we can't get him on. Maybe we can get him on for sure later or anything. I was trying to work it out. I know this is a holiday weekend. I hope everybody had as I said earlier in the show, with a great Thanksgiving. But this is really a tradition when it rolls in next weekend with that first 35 or so hunters from all over, and then the following weekend they'll roll in another group, and the volunteers just take over. And I know I can remember a man that came. He actually had a lift, and I probably mentioned this to Frank or Ron before. He had a lift that just lifted him up. He had his own stand. And I've also known them to be down there and hunt with they would use they would shoot with their lips. I mean, there's these people are amazing that we should never take for granted. Frank, you know that as well as I do. I could complain sometimes. It might be a little cold. I might have my little heater with me, but these guys and gals, there'll be some women there. It's just a wonderful 32 years.
Yeah.
If you figure that up, Frank, if they had 50 people every year, just think how many people have been touched by this event.
Oh, sure. The vision that someone had 32 years ago.
Dean Hunter.
To do this, not just to have a managed hunt.
Yeah.
But a managed, because at the time, if I remember the article correctly, Larry, at the time they did it, it was the only
one of its kind
in the country.
Yes. That's right.
Yes.
Like this.
Yes.
Now there's more.
There's more.
There's several now.
They have
but
the Wounded Warriors.
At the time, this was the only one.
Yeah. And they had to get special permission to even kill does and things like this. It was, but there's been a continuation of different park rangers down there from Dean on up through 32 years, and how much food they've served. And I know, Frank, your ATVs have been a real really helps them out, because they got to get these people in and out.
And it's
not as easy to get them out.
Well, and from their starting point there, it could be 3 miles away.
Yes,
to
that's
the
right.
furthest stand.
Yeah.
And Frank, what does this mean to you personally to be able to help?
Well, my father-in-law, who has died, my father-in-law was a quadriplegic, so it was something that being around and living with someone that had a disability certainly touched me. And
I've never known
but
that. Frank.
Being around these folks, the thing that is so neat about it to me is when you sit around the campfire and you talk these, it's like every hunting camp that I've ever been involved with.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And they
the only difference is they roll up in their chairs instead of carrying them.
And they do have a big bonfire that goes from the time the event starts until it's finished, and
they go through a lot
it's quite a event. And again, I'm going to call out
them out, Ron.
and volunteers. They need them.
They need them down there, and that's next weekend at the Dove Patton Campground. You can check with the Arca Butler Corps of Engineers field office down there and ask for Rob. It's R-O-B, Rob, H-O-F-F. He's the park ranger, and we'll try to get Rob on after the event and get a wrap-up, because I know they'll kill some big deer and things along that line. But it is it's one of the highlights of the year for me as far as doing something so worthy. And these people, like I say, don't pay a dime or anything like that. And they, if you're not touched by what you see when you go down there, and there's something wrong with you, because it's just amazing to see them roll up. And they don't want to be. This is not a handicap. This is a physically challenged. They don't like that. We're not calling this a handicapped hunt or anything like that. Like people got on to me because I called the young sportsman's deer hunt a juvenile hunt. They thought I was talking about somebody at 201 Poplar. No, we're talking about physically challenged, and it's a wonderful event. Again, that's next weekend, Friday through Sunday. That's 2nd through 4th of December. And then the following weekend, Friday through Sunday again. And Frank, always appreciate you, buddy. Hope you.
Thank you for everything you do, buddy.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you, Frank, and keep me posted on what's going on over there. All right.
I'll do it. Thank y'all.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Frank. Frank Barton. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Got Ron Wall in studio. We're going to roll out the crappie rod. Here it comes, Ron. It's coming now. Get ready for it on Outdoors of Larry Ray.